What up, everybody? What up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. Haha. So, to all my fathers and all my entrepreneurs that are out there, you know exactly what happened. So, originally, guys, I wanted to essentially go live tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as is typically the case, as soon as I wanted to go live, my kids started crying. One of them had a poopy diaper. My wife said, "Chris, I need to take care of some stuff." You know how it goes. So, all my fellas that are out there, all my real entrepreneurs, there's no such thing as being an entrepreneur essentially in a silo. Life happens to all of us. So shout out to my son for pooping in his diaper and crying saying, "Daddy, I need you." And shout out to my wife and everything for reaching out to me about some stuff she needed me to take care of. So start a little bit late tonight, but in any event, everybody, your boy is happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here. So unless if you have been living essentially under a rock, everybody. By the way, just to introduce myself, if you're not familiar with my channel, Financipation, I'm a mechanical engineer with an MBA in finance. I've taught finance for over 20 years. I have become essentially a senior status member pretty much in every company that I've worked for, whether it was construction, whether it was engineering, whether it was mechanical engineering, whether it was finance, whether it was the logistical world, in regards to like legal depositions. I essentially have worked my way into uh, senior level status in every company I worked for. I started teaching essentially financial literacy to my family because I got sick and tired of watching my family members work hard their entire life and essentially die broke. And when I started Financipation, I was like, okay, I'm gonna change this. If I went to college, if I got my engineering degree, if I got my MBA, and I know exactly how to invest money and how to retire a multimillionaire in about 15 years, why am I not giving this knowledge to the world? So that's why I started Financipation. I bet this one. That's why I started my channel, and it's one of those kind of things where I enjoy the financial ministry of essentially teaching people how to build wealth. That's what I do. That's what I enjoy, and that's what I like doing. Okay, so I drop weekly financial podcasts every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've always looked at financial literacy, everybody, as to some extent a mission, and honestly, as a ministry, just because if you think about it, I don't care whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Arab, whether you're Muslim, whether you're atheist, whether you're Christian, whether you're whatever, it does not matter. I have never met a person from just about any walk of life, regardless of their color, their sexual orientation, what they do for a living, their career, what God they pray to. I have never met a group of individuals that does not want to be financially literate. And that's what I teach you on Financipation. I teach you how to make money. I teach you how to save money. I teach you how to invest money. I teach you how to build generational wealth. And most importantly, I teach you how to financially emancipate yourself from generational poverty. That's what I teach in my podcast, everybody. Occasionally, I talk about some other stuff as well. I do like to talk about modern events in regards to things that are currently going on in regards to how they essentially can affect you and your paycheck. But in general, everybody, at the end of the day, I want to make this abundantly clear to you. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican. I don't care whether you don't even live in the United States of America. Nobody is coming to save you. And the faster you realize that nobody is coming to save you, and the faster you realize that you essentially are going to have to put yourself in your own financial path in regards to how to protect yourself so that when you retire with dignity and respect. The faster you realize that nobody's coming to save you, and you better save yourself, the better off you're going to be. Okay. So, as I stated earlier, unless you have been living under a rock, Donald Trump, the 47th president of the United States, he recently passed a bill called the OBBBA, or otherwise known as colloquially as the Big Beautiful Bill. And there are a lot of things in this particular bill that I want to kind of just unpack and just kind of talk about, just because from my perspective, in my opinion, it's going to significantly benefit billionaires, it's going to significantly benefit millionaires, and it's going to significantly benefit the top 1%. But as is the case for a lot of things that are currently passed by this administration, I don't particularly think it's going to benefit the middle class too much. And individuals who it is going to benefit, such as individuals who make tips and they make less than $25,000 a year, they're going to lose their Medicare, their Medicaid, and they probably will not be getting Social Security. So on one end, they may make $1,700 with the tips, but they're going to lose tens of thousands of dollars if they ever get sick and go to the doctor. So at the end of the day, in regards to the big beautiful bill, I want to just talk about essentially the different ways that you can do and different things that you can do, more importantly, to build yourself up financially and to build generational wealth, regardless of who's sitting in the White House, and also regardless of the things that are going to kind of be going on in this big beautiful bill. Okay. So the first thing you need to do in order to financially thrive under Donald Trump's big beautiful bill, everybody, is you have got to start a business. So I talked about this earlier when I was introducing essentially how I talk about in emancipation, how I teach you how to make money, how to save money, how to invest money, how to build generational wealth. And one of the reasons why I constantly talk about the need of making money is because at the end of the day, you can save all the money that you want. But if you are not essentially creating more wealth and creating, i.e., bringing in more income, I don't care how much money you are quote unquote saving, you ain't going to build wealth. It's as simple as that. I have never met a person that saved their way to $1 billion. I have, however, met lots of people that invested their way to billions of dollars, and more importantly, I have met lots of people who had such a high income they essentially became centimillionaires, decamillionaires, and billionaires. So at the end of the day, everybody, it's a twofold street. Not only do you have to cut your spending, you have to basically make more money, and you have to invest the difference. You have to invest the amount of money that you are saving every month, and by doing that, it's going to essentially allow you to build generational wealth. Also, everybody, please hit that dollar sign. Everybody, please support your content creators. It helps us to continue to bring you guys free content. As I said earlier, I'm a mechanical engineer with an MBA. I taught finance for 20 years. I know exactly what I'm doing in regards to helping you make money, save money, invest money, and build generational wealth. If you want to retire early from corporate America and retire with dignity and respect, I'm going to teach you how to do that here on Financial. Okay, so please support your content creators and then drop some comments. Okay, because at the end of the day, I thoroughly enjoy answering. This is a free Q&A. I thoroughly enjoy answering your financial questions. Drop a financial question, and I will ask for free, and I will answer for free. One element of financial, everybody, that I do is that I have, in addition to my blog, in addition to my Spotify channel, in addition to my YouTube channel, and also in addition to my e-products that I sell, I also host one-on-one sessions. So if any of you guys want to book a one-on-one session with me, or one-on-one session with your boy, let me know. We'll do a free 10-minute consultation so we can find out exactly what it is that you're looking for. And from there, I can pretty much walk you through the things that I do in order to help you build generational wealth. I'll answer your questions and kind of go from there. So if you have any questions, by all means, everybody, please drop a question. Please drop a comment. So entrepreneurship. The reason why I say you need to start a business is for a very simple reason. The tax code, I don't care whether it's a Democrat or it's a Republican in office, the tax code in the United States of America, it is specifically written to benefit the business owner. One of the gifts of America. And America has done some things in the past. We all know what that stuff is. But one of the best gifts of America, something I love about this country, is that this is the greatest country in the world to building generational wealth. Period. And what I mean by that is this: America represents less than 10% of the world's population, but we have over 25% of the world's millionaires. Now, at the end of the day, it's easy to be a saint when you live in paradise, i.e., this is an easy country to become a millionaire. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is this, everybody. In the United States of America, we have this gift called capitalism. Earlier, I referenced my wife, and one of the reasons why I did that is because if you take a look at the Fortune 500 companies that exist right now in the United States of America, over 50% of them were started by a person that was not born in the United States and did not become a citizen until they were over 18. I find it very ironic that immigrants understand this tremendous gift of capitalism that we have in the United States of America in regards to the fact that over 50% of all Fortune 500 companies today were started by an immigrant or by a person that was not an American, that was not a naturalized American. And what is that telling you? That is telling you, once again, everybody, that in the United States of America, if you want to truly build wealth, start a business. And the reasons, everybody, are extremely simple. First and foremost, if you start a business, I'm talking from a I'm talking from a personal standpoint with this one. To some extent, you shield yourself from the isms that do unfortunately exist in America. What I mean by that, if you are your own boss, you shield yourself from racism. If you are your own boss, to some extent, you shield yourself from sexism. If you are your own boss, to some extent, you shield yourself from colorism. If you are your own boss and you run your own business, you shield yourself from a lot of the stupid isms that do unfortunately go on in the United States of America. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you own your own business and you own a good business, you are able to hire and fire the people that you want. And you're also able to hire and go after the type of clients that you want. So if a person does not respect you or your intelligence or your work ethic because of the color of your skin, because of the God that you pray to, because of your gender or whatever it is, if you own your own business, it alleviates a lot of that BS. So, to anybody that's listening right now, one of the true benefits of being a business owner, everybody, is just that it allows you to some extent to circumnavigate this crazy world that we live in. And in regards to some of the things you may unfortunately run into from a discriminatory perspective. Two, the next good thing about starting a business, this is purely financial with this one. The American tax code, everybody, is literally littered with giveaways for business owners. Now, some people will complain, some people will cry and say, "Oh, it's not fair that Warren Buffett's secretary pays a higher percentage of her income in taxes than Warren Buffett does when a man is worth over $50 billion with a B." And to some extent, I understand where that's coming from. As a kid who grew up essentially lower middle class, I get it. I get it. I get it. I understand where that mindset comes in. But I'm also going to be completely real with you. You can either get mad at the rules of the game, or you can learn the rules of the game and play them yourself. And as a business owner, everybody, you can essentially write off your meals. You can write off your car. You can write off your gas. You can write off your rent. You can write off your mortgage. If you understand the way that the United States tax code is set up, everybody, as a business owner, you can literally sell your own ticket in regards to the amount of things that you can write off. Particularly if you know, particularly if you hire a good CPA who knows exactly what they are doing. So, like I said, you can get mad at the game, or you can learn the rules of the game yourself. And starting a business, everybody, is precisely one of the things you need to do if you want to financially benefit during Donald Trump's economy and during this big, beautiful bill. Because at the end of the day, if you are a business owner in the United States of America, it puts you in rarefied company. Now, about being a business owner, I want to make this one very clear. When I'm talking about a business, I am not talking about something that Pookie and Ray Ray or Shelton and Ryan or whoever said in the back of me. How can someone who works part time thrive? Perfect. If you are, let me. I'll answer that question, Esther. Not a problem. So, as a business owner, it has to be a legal identity EIN number. It has something you set up through LegalZoom. Okay, and I'm gonna go back to. Let me answer this question right now from Reva, from Esther Paul. Thank you, Esther. I appreciate that. So, how can someone who works part time thrive? I would say a multitude of ways. First and foremost, what is your purpose of working part time? Are you working part time because you're at home raising children? Are you working part time because you're a college student? Are you working part time because you're in between jobs? So, I guess in order to unpack that question, why is this person working part-time? That's the first thing I'll say, because if you're working part-time and you're able-bodied and you have the time to work full-time, maybe you should consider working full-time. Having said that, how can someone who works part-time thrive? The same way a person who works full-time can thrive. First and foremost, create a budget. Every dollar that you make, it needs to have a name on it. Every dollar that you make, you should know exactly where you're spending. If you want to basically go to the club, you want to go dancing, if you want to buy a nice bottle of wine, that's cool. Just make sure that it's in your budget. Make sure the amount of gas that you spend is in your budget. Make sure the amount of Netflix, make sure the amount of TV subscriptions you have is in your budget. Make sure the amount of money that you pay for your student loans is in your budget. Make sure that every penny and every dollar in your account is qualified and it's it's tracked. And then from there, I'm asking on behalf of a friend who's a college student. Perfect. All right, and I'm getting to that for perfect college student. And the thing about it is that the system works whether you are a college student or whether you are a six-figure, seven-figure professional. First and foremost, start a budget. Okay, create a budget, and this budget can be, you can either do it through app. I personally still use an old school Microsoft Excel sheet because I kind of like the flexibility that I have to be able to try to change on the fly. So first and foremost, create a budget. Secondly, after you create that budget, I want you to essentially after you create that budget, I want you to essentially track your spending. So after you track your spending, you know exactly how much money you have going out, you know how much money coming in. Next, I want you to establish an emergency fund. And the reason why you should be able to establish an emergency fund is second is because if you've been tracking your spending, you know exactly how much money you have going out and how much money you have coming in. So say a college student. So let's say this particular college student, he or she makes $1,000 a month, right? And let's say their expenses are $700 a month. That means every month they are saving 300 bucks. So if they're saving 300 bucks. That means their emergency fund needs to be 20 for a 3 month emergency fund needs to be $700 times three, which is 2,100 bucks. So for this particular college student, I would say establish bare minimum a 3 month emergency fund. So after they establish that 3 month emergency fund, I would say every penny that they make after that, so every dollar they make after that, put 10% toward that emergency fund. So if this person is bringing once again $1,000 a month, after they get that 3 month emergency fund, save 10% of 1,000, which is 100, and always put $100 toward that emergency fund. And the reason why I say that is simple. Eventually, at some point, that 3 month emergency fund is going to become a 6 month emergency fund, and then it's going to become a 9 month emergency fund, and then it's going to become a 12 month emergency fund. And the person is essentially saving 700, and the person's essentially spending $700 a month, and they get a 12 month emergency fund. That means their 12 month emergency fund will be 8,400 bucks. And when you get to $8,400, you have essentially a 12 month emergency fund. Now let's back up a little bit. When you get to that 3 month emergency fund, if this college student is working for a company that has any kind of 401k match, This is step number three. If they have any kind of 401k match, I would say invest into their employer's 401k match. Now, when I was a college student, I was working part-time jobs. I was not getting a 401k match, so this one may not apply. So for this particular college student, a friend of yours, Esther, tell them to go to www.fidelity.com, and after they get that 3-month emergency fund, if they work for a company that does not have a 401k match, tell them to go to www.fidelity.com, which is one of the best brokerage accounts out there. In my opinion, it is the best one in the world because it's user friendly. And from there, I want them to essentially establish a Roth IRA. Okay. And the reason why I say a Roth IRA and not a traditional IRA is because at the end of the day, you want to pay your taxes today when they are historically low instead of paying them 40 or 50 years down the road when you're 75 and you got to pay a bunch of taxes. So, step number one, create a budget. Step number two, um, step number two, 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Step number three, I want your college friend essentially get a Roth IRA, and in the year that I'm recording this, a Roth IRA you can invest up to $7,000 into the 401k match. I'm sorry, you can invest $7,000 into it. So that's step number three. Step number four, after they have essentially created a budget, after they essentially create that budget, after they have essentially got that 3 to 6 month emergency fund, after they have maxed out the Roth IRA up to $7,000 per year, the next thing I want them to do is, if they are still a part-time student, is to invest into their 401k. Now, the reason why I'm saying invest into their 401k is because, once again, go to www.fidelity.com, create your 401k account, and invest up to a certain percentage of your amount. If they are working for an employer that matches it, invest up to the employer's match. If they are not working for an employer that matches it, from there, I would just say invest what they can. That's step number four. Step number five, pay off all high interest debt. Now, a lot of people are asking me, why in the world would you wait to step number five to pay off all high interest debt? I'm glad that you asked. The reason why is very simple. At the end of the day, you want to start making your money work for you when you're sleeping as soon as humanly possible. And investing $7,000 in that Roth IRA, investing what you can into the 401k, and paying and having that 6 to 9 month emergency fund to fall back on, that means you're in a pretty good spot to start being able to pay off whatever kind of student loans. Because they're a college student, I'm assuming they have student loans and things like that. So at that point, start paying off their student loans. Then once they get to the point where they paid off all their student loans, I want you to start putting 20 to 25 to 30% into your brokerage accounts or into your 401k, whichever one comes first. If you max out your 401k, which is $23,000, $23,500 in 2025, at that point, I want you to start maxing out your brokerage accounts, okay? And put as much money as you possibly can into that. And I invest into the stock market using total stock market index funds, real estate investment trusts with a high dividend ratio, and or ETFs, okay? So that's kind of the rules of the game, Reva. I hope I answered your question, Esther, and thanks for the question, okay? Thanks for the question. All right, let me take it back to my business owners and stuff like that. Start a business, everybody. Please support your content creators and YouTubers. At the end of the day, everybody, this is essentially another income stream for us. And if you like the content that I'm giving you in regards to how to make money, how to save money, how to invest money, how to build generational wealth, I'm your Huckleberry. Please continue to please continue to support the channel. Okay. Another thing too, I want to talk about as well. My Cash App is $ Chris P485. So if anybody wants to support your business, just hit this $ below, and I appreciate it. Okay, I appreciate it. And please ask the question, everybody. This is a live Q&A, and I thoroughly enjoy answering any question that you have. Business owners, start a business, everybody. I want you to go to www.legalzoom.com and create a legitimate business. This cannot be some operation you run out of the back of your pickup truck or out of the back of your Honda Accord, unless if it legitimately is a business you're running out of your pickup truck or your Honda Accord, and you actually have a EIN number that you have to pay taxes on. People, start a business. Not only can you write off your expenses, not only can you write off that truck, not only can you write off that gas, not only can you write off your clothes, you can essentially write off the things. You can essentially create what I like to call a SEP IRA, and also invest the money that you make directly into your business and into other accounts that make you significant cash. So, for example, you can invest more money if you have a business owner. You can invest more money into something called a SEP IRA than you can if you invest into your HSA, your Roth IRA, and your 401k combined. Actually, almost double what you can in those three accounts. So, as a business owner, that's another trick of the trade in regards to why I'm telling you. Under the current administration, after Donald Trump has passed the big beautiful bill, start a business, because at the end of the day, everybody, business owners are the people in the United States of America who get the tax benefits. They get the they get the notoriety, and they also, to some extent, get the clout. I won't lie to you though. If you are a business owner, you have to actually work this business. I tell anybody that is leaving corporate America or working in corporate America, working 45 or 50 hours a week in a cushy little job. If you are a business owner, you're going to be working about 80 hours a week. And you're probably gonna be doing it for about 10 years before you really make it. So just get ready for it. And if you're doing it the way a lot of people are doing it, where you're working part-time, you've been working your 50 to 60 hours a week in corporate America, and then you're working your 20 hours a week in your side business, okay? And eventually it gets to the point where you're working 30 hours for your side business, 50 hours in corporate America, 50 hours for your side business, 30 hours per week part-time in corporate America, and then 80 hours a week on your business and no time in corporate America because you walked yourself out of it, okay? So that's the thing. Next, the next thing you need to do in order to financially thrive in Donald Trump's economy and under his big, beautiful bill is to pay off all high interest debt. Now, right now, we're hearing a lot about the Fed chairman. I think his name is Jerome Powell or Robert Powell. It's really interesting because I have never in my adult life ever heard of a president trying to get a federal chair fired in regards to the Federal Reserve. I just have never heard that. I don't remember that with Bill Clinton. I don't remember that with George Bush one, Obama, and none. So it's really interesting the kind of pressure that's being put on Jerome Powell about getting him fired. But this is a political channel. I'm not really going to delve too much into that. What I'm saying to everybody is to say this. Right now, America owes about 37 trillion with a T dollars in debt. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, which basically does all the budgets in regards to what a prospective law is going to do, how it's going to positively or negatively affect our deficit. According to them, Donald Trump's big beautiful bill is going to add anywhere from 10 to 15 trillion dollars over the next 10 to 15 years. Because that bill passed. So we are seriously looking at a possibility of owing over 51 to 52 trillion with a T dollars of debt. And the reason is simple. When you raise spending and you don't cut tax, when you basically don't cut your spending and you also don't raise taxes, at the end of the day, you're not getting any income and your spending is increasing. And if that's the case, you're going to lose at the case, your deficits are going to skyrocket. That's essentially what's kind of happening at the moment. So what is it? How does that affect you and your paycheck? I'm glad that you asked. If you own a lot of debt and you are essentially trying to buy a house, what happens? You'll get the house possibly, but your interest rates are going to be higher. If you have a lot of student loans debt and you're trying to essentially apply for a mortgage or for an apartment, or you're trying to apply for a car, what happens? The amount of interest that your interest is going to go higher. That's the same thing that's going to happen in the United States of America. So I'm saying that to say this. Make sure you are paying off all of your high interest debts as soon as humanly possible, because the second these other countries start basically calling America's credit into question, which has already happened because our credit has already been downgraded, guess what? That means a lot of us are gonna be paying a lot more money for the amount of money that we owe on our student loans and the interest rates that go into our credit card debt. So what does that mean? The average credit card in America right now has an interest rate of 21%. That means if you owe $20,000 and 21%, you are getting bricked over the coals in regards to how much money you were spending essentially for credit for interest every month. What happens if America's credit does significantly get downgraded because we have over 50 trillion with the T dollars of debt? That means instead of our credit cards basically being 21%, they might become 31% by the end of 2035. It's a serious possibility, everybody. If you don't believe me, take a look at the amount of talk that's being talked about with treasury loans and bank statements and stuff like that, because a lot of countries are kind of starting to seriously question whether or not America can proverbially pay its bills. And like I said, I'm not really going to get into the left or the right versus thing. That's not my thing on financiation. At the end of the day, I run a very apolitical podcast and financial channel. But what I will tell you is this: at the end of the day, if America's credit rating does get downgraded and countries stop investing into America, whether it's because of a trade war that Trump has started, tariffs, or whatever it is, or the fact that Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, gets fired, and a stooge comes in office and has no idea what they're doing, in the event that any of these things actually happens, that means the interest rates for our homes, for our businesses, and for our credit card debt is probably going to skyrocket. And if that is the case, you want to make sure you have as much of your debt paid off as humanly possible, as quickly as possible. So pay off all high interest debt as fast as you can. If that requires you get a second job, possibly drive Uber, drive Lyft, do whatever it is you can, pay off that stuff as soon as possible, because you do not once again want to be in a situation where you owe 15 to $20,000 of credit card debt that used to be, have an interest rate of 21%, they automatically shoot up to 31% because other countries are essentially trying to stick the nail into America because of all the debt that we have. It's possible, everybody. At the end of the day, empires, they rise and they fall. So make sure that you are in the best possible situation, regardless of what ends up happening around you, and regardless of who's sitting in the White House. I always say focusing on the White House is nice, but it's more important to focus on your house. Okay. So pay off all high interest debt. If you prefer the debt shotgun or the debt snowball, pick your poison and figure it out. The debt snowball, if you're not aware, is you essentially pay off your lowest debt first. You pay off the minimum debt for everything else. If you pay off your lowest debt, you then go to the next debt that's the lowest, and you roll the money that you were paying from the lowest debt to the highest one, and then you basically just repeat the process. Or if you're more like me, a debt shotgun kind of guy, you pay off the debt that has the highest interest rate first. And you pay the minimums on everything else, and then if you pay off the one with the highest interest rate, you then basically roll that fund into the next one account, and you pay off that interest. You pay off that debt first, and then you take those two that you're just going to pay off. You roll to the one that has the third highest interest rate, and you just basically keep the process. I prefer the debt shotgun just because, from a mathematical standpoint, once again, I'm an engineer and I got an MBA in finance. I'm an analytical dude. I prefer the debt shotgun method just because I like the idea of paying off my money and getting out of debt and paying as quickly as possible. But for everyone else, there's nothing wrong with it. At the end of the day, I did do both on my journey to getting out of debt. Okay. Next, now let's say you had the budget, you got the emergency fund and everything into play. You start your business, you're doing your side hustle, you're working your 60 hours in corporate America, you're working your 20 hours in your business on the side. What's the next step? Oh, and by the way, about that business, people always ask me this question, Chris, what kind of business should I start? I'm glad that you asked. Also, everybody, please support your boy, support Financial, support Chris. At the end of the day, everybody, I teach you how to make money, how to save money, how to invest money, how to build generational wealth. Please drop a dollar sign down there. $1, $2, price of coffee, five. If you feel it feeling froggy, 20 would be nice. At the end of the day, everybody, please support your content creators. Okay. Oh, but yes, in regards to the business owner, before I go to the next step, another excellent thing too about being a business owner is this: find a pain point that is hurting people around you and figure out a way to solve it. That's all a business is. If you think about it, if you're hungry, you want to eat soul food, what do? You Google, you go online, you go to Yelp, and you find, or you go to Uber Eats, and you find a soul food restaurant. If you want Italian food, you basically go online, you find a good Italian restaurant, and you'll get it. Why? Because that Italian food, that soul food, it feeds a pain point. You hungry and you want to eat. That's all a business is, everybody. Find something you were very good at that you're passionate about and figure out a way to give that service to the masses. And that service should be something that is fixing a problem in the proverbial world around you. That's why I started my business. That's why I started Financipation. That's why I started my business, because I got sick and tired of people who look like me working hard their entire life and dying poor because they never understood how to invest into a stock, or what an index fund was, or what a 401k was, or what a HSA was, or what the 4% rule was, or what the H or what a real estate investment trust was. I got tired of seeing that crap, and I was like, you know what? Let me give what I learned in grad school to the rest of the world. And the people look like me, cool. They don't look like me, cool. At the end of the day, I fixed the pain point. That's what you start your businesses in, everybody. So, um, get back to what I was saying. So you got that 6 to 9 month emergency fund up. You paid off your higher interest debts and everything. You have the next step you should be, everybody, is to basically save roughly 25 to 30% of your money and to invest it into the stock market. Now, the reason why I'm saying 25 to 30% is because if you want to be honest, the average millionaire in America invest roughly 18% of the money that they make, and they do it over a 10 to 15-year period. So that means if you invest 18% of what you make, there is a very high likelihood that you are going to be a millionaire in the United States of America, particularly if you invest into the right thing, right funds. And I can tell you what all those funds are. If you want to book a one-on-one session with me, that's not a problem. But the reason why I'm saying invest 25 to 30% because it speeds up your process to essentially escape corporate America if that's your goal, or it speeds up your process to essentially financially emancipate yourself from poverty. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you have paid off all your high interest debt, you have a 9 to 12 month emergency fund, and you have a very, very good budget. At that point, everybody, you essentially have gotten rid of most of the things that kind of stop a lot of people from making money. And more importantly, you have freed up a very large chunk of your income to essentially go toward investing into the stock market. And the reason why I say the stock market is because the stock market has actually created more millionaires over the last 25 years than anything else. Whether it was real estate, whether it's a person starting an app, it didn't matter. Musicians, entertainment, doesn't matter. The stock market has created more everyday millionaires that you walk by every day you go to the bus station, every day that you're hooping and playing ball at the gym, every day that you're working out, every day you go to work. The stock market has created more millionaires over the last 25 years than anything else. And on top of that, it's very easy. You literally just go to fidelity.com, click a mouse, make your investments, and keep it moving. You can make money 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. At the end of the day, it is literally the easiest way to make your money. And another good thing I like about the stock market as well is that if you are a long-term investor like myself, you literally invest your money and you keep it moving. You don't even have to worry essentially about you don't essentially even have to worry about paying taxes if you basically are a long-term investor for decades because you're not buying and selling stocks, and on top of it, you're also not getting hit with the capital gains of it. So everybody, that is essentially the way that it works. Make sure that you are investing into 25 to 30% of your income once you've essentially paid off all high interest debt. Okay, drink some water. By all means, everybody, please ask your questions. Fire away, fire away. This is a live Q&A session. I thoroughly enjoy answering your questions for free here during this session and ask away. Okay. And in this particular session, we're talking about different ways and different things that a person can do to financially thrive under Donald Trump's economy, as well as under the big beautiful bill. And it's really kind of interesting too because a lot of the things that I'm talking about, as I said earlier, don't focus on who's in the White House, focus on your house. And at the end of the day, whether there's a Democrat or Republican or independent in their White House, people focus on your house. And if you do that, you kind of be able to ride the political winds regardless of who's sitting in the particular halls of Congress. Okay. So ask the questions away, fire away. Next, the next thing you should do to financially thrive under Donald Trump's economy, everybody, is be very cognizant about the fact that if you have kids or you have a niece or a nephew or somebody that you're raising or a potential kid that you love, at some point that kid is most likely going to want to go to college. And you need to be prepared for that as well. Now, full disclosure, everybody, college is not the be all end all for everybody. And it's kind of funny whenever I say this because half the people that I meet, they have this idea, well, didn't you go to college? Aren't you an engineer? You're right, I did go to college. I am an engineer. And on top of being an engineer, I also got my mechanic. I got an MBA, so and I have a master's degree, and I have so many credentials behind my name. It's literally longer than my entire name. So I absolutely went the educational route. I also kind of was always been a hustler and entrepreneur. So I can sell water proverbially to a well. I've always been that way. But college is the number, I think, two or three thing on the list that people make in regards to why they can't build wealth. And the reason why is simple. If you got a $400,000 student loan debt and you got a degree in communications or German history, and you're making $45,000 a year with $400,000 of debt, I know people that are in this situation. That is a very bad place to be. And a lot of times, what ends up happening is that a lot of people go to college, but they were never actually taught how to pay for it. They were taught just basically go to your dream school halfway across the country, or follow your boyfriend or your girlfriend halfway across the country, go to some out of state college, put everything on credit cards, put everything on your student loans, and voila, it'll take care of itself. Well, it does not take care of itself, everybody. And at the end of the day, if you want to be real with it, unfortunately, I think besides credit card debt and home mortgages, college is literally the number three highest form of debt that Americans owe. Americans owe over 8 trillion with the T dollars of student loan debt. And this problem is only going to exacerbate it because there are a lot of provisions in the big beautiful bill. And once again, I'm not political on this channel, but there are a lot of things in the big beautiful bill that are forcing people who have current student loans to pay them back at a higher interest rate to pay for the bill. And then on top of it, it slashes funding for Pell Grants and for people who essentially would otherwise in the past be able to apply to a lot more scholarships. So how does that affect you? That's basically me telling you this. If you are about to send your kids to college today, or in my case, 16 years from now, you need to be certain and have a plan about how you intend to pay for that. Full disclosure, everybody, if you are curious, I did write a book on scholarships about essentially how to go to school for free. It can be purchased on Amazon. In this particular book, basically go into detail about how I obtained over $300,000 to go to undergrad and get my engineering degree for free. And a lot of things that I did, everybody, you can do it as well. So if you want to send your kids to college for free and not spend a penny, buy my book on Amazon.com, and I'll walk you through all the ways about how I went to college for free. If I did it, you can do it as well. But have a plan, everybody. Nothing is sadder to me than when I'm talking to people and they say their kids want to go to college and they have absolutely no idea how they're going to pay for it. Or they say, "Oh well, I don't really have time to apply for scholarships. I don't really have time to become an RA, so I'll just figure it out." And what ends up happening is these are the same people that are going on podcasts years later talking about college ain't worth it and don't go to college and all that kind of garbage. It's really just funny to me. I can say as an engineer, engineering has been quite good to me from a financial perspective. I'll say it that way. Finance and teaching it has been extremely good for me from a financial perspective. So college works. You just have to make sure you get the right major. And there's a bunch of other things that people are doing today that are wrong about how they're paying for it. So first and foremost, you are listening to this podcast. How should you pay for college? And more importantly, under Donald Trump's big beautiful bill, what should you do? Because it has literally slashed funding for Pell Grants and also slashed funding for college students. So what should you do? First and foremost, everybody, if you're don't got the time, go online, read my book, go to Amazon.com. Once again, purchase my book, and I'll walk you through exactly a method that you can use. So the first method I want to talk about is apply to as many scholarships as humanly possible. So go to www.fastweb.com, create a budget. I'm sorry, and create a profile. And when you create that profile, it's going to send you scholarships that your child can apply to. I personally say this: you need to apply to scholarships like it is another class that you're taking in college. And this is when you're there. Prior to getting there, you need to apply to at least 2 to 3 scholarships a week. If you do it starting your senior year, that means by the time you get to college, you would have essentially applied to anywhere from 100 to 150 scholarships, and that's the way that you do it. So apply to as many scholarships as humanly possible. And to all my parents that are out there, there's these things called 529s. There's this thing called a UTMA or a custodial account. And there are pros and cons to both. And I'm going to briefly talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of them, and about why, as a parent, right today, you need to start a UTMA or a 529 for your kid. So for a 529, the pros is this. The beneficiary can be changed from one recipient to another. In other words, if you have two kids, right? And one is 8 and one is 15, the other's 13. And the one that's 15 is always goofing off. They're always doing dumb stuff. You're not exactly sure whether they're going to go to college, but you hope that they do because they're always kind of getting in trouble with the law. They're always doing dumb stuff. And you honestly are kind of a little worried about them. And then leave a 13-year-old that is completely opposite. They're into sports. They basically are really big good in school, straight A students, and things of that nature. Okay, you started a 529, unfortunately, for only one kid. And you're kind of saying, okay, if my 15-year-old does not get it together, I'm just going to give the money to my 13-year-old. The good thing about a 529 is that it gives you the benefit to be able to do that. You can change the beneficiary. That's the first good thing about a 529. The second good thing about a 529 is that it's tax deductible. In other words, you can take the money that you're investing into it, you can take that money out of it. You can take the money legally out, and you won't get taxed on it. The bad part about a 529 is that the investments are terrible. When I say terrible, is you can't actually pick your own investments. There's some mutual fund manager far off in the odds somewhere that you're never going to meet, making investments to some extent for you. And in my professional opinion, the investments in the 529 are not that great, which is the reason why my wife and I did not use a 529. Now let's talk about the custodial account. The great thing about a custodial account, and the reason why we ultimately went with it for our children, was for a very simple reason: the investment that you make in a 520 in a UTMA slash custodial account, and UTMA stands for Uniform Transfer and Minor Act. The benefits that you can make and the investments that you can make into are phenomenal. With a UTMA slash custodial account, you can invest into REITs. You can invest into crypto. You can invest into gold or precious metals. You can invest into index funds. You can invest into mutual funds. You can invest into exchange traded funds. You can pretty much make any kind of investment that you want with an UTMA. And because of that, it gives you market flexibility in regards, if you are like myself and you really, really understand how the stock market works and you really know what you should be investing into, you can make an insane amount of money over the 15 to 18 years it takes your kid to get to college, or over the 2 to 3 years that you start the account, whenever you start it. Another great thing I love about UTMAs and brokerage accounts is that they don't have to only be used for school. See, with the 529, it has to be used for college, but with the UTMA, it can be used for whether your kid wants to join the Marines, whether they want to buy a home, whether they want to start their own business, whether they become a real estate investment trust, whether they want to start become a real estate broker. They can use that money for a lot more than just college. Whereas with the 529, you get penalized if you don't use it for college. Now, the drawbacks to a 520 to a custodial account: it lowers your student aid in regards to your FAFSA, which is already getting lower because of the big beautiful bill. But one of the issues with the custodial account is that it does, when they take a look at it and say, okay, your kid has $50,000 in the UTMA, that means we're going to basically penalize them as far as the amount of financial aid they can get. That happens with the UTMA. Secondly, another issue with the UTMA is that the kid that gets the beneficiary, it goes to them automatically the day they turn 18. So in my 15 to 13-year-old analogy, if 15-year-olds who you start the UTMA slash custodial account for, and they're a complete screw up, that 15-year-old, the day they turn 18 or 21, depending on the state that you live in, is automatically going to get that $100,000 that you put into that account, and you cannot transfer it to the second kid who actually is college material and or who actually is applying themselves to join the Marines or to become a cop or a fire department or a firefighter or whatever it is. So that's a drawback to a custodial account slash UTMA. With a custodial account, the beneficiary cannot change. It is legally their money the day they turn 18, regardless of whether they have a drug problem, regardless of whether they're in and out of prison, regardless of whether or not they just honestly don't want to do anything except spend mommy's money and party down in South Beach. So take it or leave everybody. But me personally, college is not getting any cheaper. And the individuals that cry and complain and get on these stupid social media platforms and talk about how expensive college is and how it's useless, those are the types that, generally speaking, did not have a plan. They went to college, they partied up, they drank beer and ate pizza all day. They picked a Mickey Mouse major, and then the day they graduate, if they graduate at all, they realize they had $200,000 of debt, and they got a degree that only pays them about $25,000 a year. Please do not let that be you. Another thing I'm gonna say too about my college students that are listening to this podcast, I very clearly am pushing for my STEM majors, my scientists, my technology majors, my engineers, my mathematicians, my lawyers, my doctors, my nurses, my finance majors, and my blue collar people. Because if you go into any of those careers that I talked about, science, technology, engineering, math, healthcare, law, finance, or blue collar, you are pretty much going to be at six figures either the day you graduate or within 2 to 3 years of working. So pick the right major. That's what I'm telling you. Pick the right career path. If you got a whole bunch of college debt, but you're going to come out making $150,000 or 150 stacks, essentially, you can pay off that debt significantly faster than most. But if you essentially go to college, you dick around, you do dumb stuff, and you go $200,000 of debt, but you're only making $25,000 a year because you pick, once again, art history or basket weaving, you're putting yourself essentially, everybody, in a financial hole. It's going to take you decades to get out. And another thing too about the big beautiful bill, prior to the bill passing, the way the acts were set up was that if a person was paying the minimum payments for about 20 to 25 years, it automatically got paid off. That's gone now. Now under the big beautiful bill, if you have to make your minimum payments for about 30 to 35 years. So if you graduate at 18, that means you essentially are not going to be quote unquote forgiven for your student loans until you're in your mid 50s. Prior to that, it was in your late 30s, early 40s. So everybody have a plan. I will say college is not for everybody, but I do think that at the end of the day, college, it raises your floor. So as a result of that, if you have a college degree, particularly if it's in the right major, you're only going to be unemployed for so long. You're only going to be out of work for so long. I can say as a guy who I can say as a mechanical engineer, I literally get job offers every hour of every day to go somewhere else. So pick the right major, everybody. Pick the right major. Please support your boy, support your podcasters and your content creators, everybody. If you enjoy the content that we are giving, and you're enjoying what we're talking about, by all means, please support your content creators. Okay. Another thing as well, everybody, ask the questions. This is a free live Q&A session. I thoroughly enjoy everybody essentially giving you guys free content here on social media. Okay, here on YouTube. So ask a question. Ask a question. All right. Ask a question. The last thing I want to talk about in regards to how to build generational wealth under the big beautiful bill. So get into real estate, everybody. So, real estate is one of the biggest things that you can do essentially to build wealth. If you take a look at any community that has built any form of meaningful wealth, they own property and they own land. So, what I mean by getting into real estate, what I mean by that is I am not one of these nothing down, just jump into it, have no idea what you're doing. You need to have your legit career in place. You need to have as much debt as possible paid off, and you need to have essentially a very vibrant emergency fund. And by getting into real estate, there's different ways you can do. You can do rental arbitrage. You can do rent to own. You can basically rent out a room while you're living in one part of the house, and you have people roommates living in the other. There's different ways you can get about getting and doing it. But at some point, everybody, you have to figure out a way to stop renting, and to some extent, to become a real estate investor. And by real estate investor, that means buy a property, rehab that property, refinance that property, rent out the property, and then basically repeat the process. And I'm saying that because that to me is the holy grail essentially to when you're building wealth. If you were figure out a way to essentially have a positive cash flow, save $1,000 every month because your expenses for your rent is essentially being superseded by the amount of money you're making on a property, that to me is the road to wealth. Because at the end of the day, if you are making $1,000 a month, literally by just breathing air, because you got tenants living in a place of yours, then you are eating. That's $12,000 a year, or better, if you're making $5,000 of passive income every month, that's $60,000 of free money. I know people that I know people that have retired abroad to the Dominican Republic because of that. So once again, everybody, real estate, figure out a way to get into it. And like I said, there are lots of books out here about that and that kind of stuff. There's lots of ways to do it. But once you figure out the rules of real estate, and you have a fully selected emergency fund, and you have a business on the side, and you have a great career, and you have no debt, that actually puts you surprisingly in the top 1% of Americans. Ask questions, everybody. By all means, please ask questions, and please support your YouTubers. A dollar is nice, $2 is nice, $5 is nice, $20 is nice. By all means, everybody, please support your YouTubers and your content creators, because we thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content. Okay. But yeah, get into real estate, everybody. Figure out a way, once again, as I said earlier, to get a piece of property, refinance that property, rehab that property, refinance that property, rent that property out, and then basically repeat the process. Okay. And please ask your questions. Please fire away. Please fire away. Let me see. Cool. All right, everybody. Before I bounce, please fire. Please ask the questions. Fire away. This is a live Q&A. I thoroughly enjoy answering any financial questions that you guys may have. So please fire away. Okay. Please fire away. Another thing as well too, I want you guys to keep in mind. Right now, we have so much stuff kind of going on in the world. We got the Jeffrey Epstein cases, and whether or not the current president is in any of these files and all that kind of stuff. We have the trade war going on. We have the tariff war. We have the bombing of Iran. We've got the left versus the right thing. We've got essentially the unemployment numbers were about 25. We only hired 73,000. We only created 73,000 jobs last month. For any indication about that, anything under 100,000 is considered bad. We literally made three-quarters of the amount of jobs we're supposed to get. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the country right now. And what I'm getting at is this. At the end of the day, everybody, you have to get off of social media, and you got to basically kind of walk away from some of the stuff that you're seeing, because if you sit around and watch Fox News all day, Paul, I got a job offer from doing a couple interviews. Oh, congrats, Paul. Congratulations, man. Congrats, congrats. Now, I'm actually glad to hear that, because I remember last week you were asking me like how you should go about whether you should apply for one job or two, and how you should go about doing it. And I said straight up, apply to as many jobs as possible. And congratulations on that, Paul. So I'm very happy for you, man. And I'm glad you took my advice. Hopefully, it is a good career path for you. And if it's just one of those kind of jobs where you're just kind of doing it until something better comes along, congratulations. But at the end of the day, we all start from somewhere. So congrats, my dude. I'm happy for you. If you got any questions for me, let me know. Let me know. Happy for you. Happy for you. But yeah, everybody, you gotta maintain your mental health. At the end of the day, if you're sitting around constantly consuming Fox News, watching it 12 hours a day, you're constantly consuming CNN, you're watching it 12 hours a day, you're constantly consuming social media and stuff like that, you are literally going to be certified crazy in like 6 months, because there's so much just yellow journalism, so much sensationalism, so much angry, so much vitriol going on both sides of the fence, that you literally are going to make yourself go crazy if you watch every news cycle and things of that nature. So I'm telling you, figure out a way to stay informed, not misinformed, and figure out a way to stay informed but not entertained. And what I mean by that is this: it may not be a bad idea. I'm in grad school to be a therapist. I'm somewhat worried about the fiscal outlook of this career. I work to pay for the school. What you do to maybe still save money while in grad school? What I did was this: when I was in grad school, I actually was still working full time when I went to grad school at night. So I was actually still doing my career when I was in grad school, DB Cooper. But another thing is this as well, brother. If depending on depending on the severity of the grad school you're in, like if are you in grad school full time, or are you in grad school part time? It seems like basically what you said, you're in grad school part time. If that's the case, and you obviously need to still finish your therapy, finish being a therapist. I mean, Uber or Lyft. If you got a car, if you live in a major metropolitan city, I can tell you right now, every city has a Manhattan, a financial district that is always a booming, popping area for Uber or Lyft, for Uber or for DoorDash, things of that nature. You can make literally for 3 or 4 hours, doing it 3 or 4 hours a night, You can literally make over $2,000 a month doing that. And the thing about it is that you're sitting in a nice air conditioned vehicle, you're driving in a nice area, and you're gonna make some good content. So that's one thing you can do. Secondly, there's other types of things you can do as well. Depending on being a therapist, maybe you can work part time like a gym. Maybe you can work part time while you get your credentials up, essentially helping people with what you're studying. Another thing you can do is this: do you have any passions? Do you have any hobbies? Do you have any business? Do you have anything that you like to do that you can be paid to do? In my younger days, I fought and I kickboxed. I did mixed martial arts for decades. So I actually trained and worked at gyms and stuff like that. And that was one way that I brought in additional income. I actually trained people in my apartment and in different businesses different places that I lived, or I would go to their house, their apartment, and train them. And I could charge about 100 to $150 an hour doing that. So there's always ways to make money in capitalism. DB Cooper. My advice is figure out what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and then figure out a way to market your services to the masses. You can make money. And the best thing about it is because of these things right here, cell phones, you literally can market your businesses on Facebook, social media, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, social media, WhatsApp, and everything. I just started working full time in children's psych hospital. I guess I mean more investing it too because that is not my domain. I subscribe. I appreciate your answer. You popped up. I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you. When it comes to investing, DB Cooper, yeah, book a one-on-one session with me. Okay. So here's my email address. Unless what I'll do is this: the real finance patient at gmail.com. Yeah, book a one-on-one session with me. Okay, what I'm gonna do is this: reach out to me. We'll put together a time. We'll hop on a mic for like 10 minutes. I'll ask a couple of questions as far as what you're actually looking for. We say investments. I want to kind of find out what your pain tolerance is, and kind of what your investment mindset is, and what your debt ratios are, and things like that. And I'll put together an actual package about how we should go about investing. I can also tell you this: when I went to grad school, that bro, you were speaking wisdom. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you, man. I just want to spread the message and spread the knowledge. Like, I mean, I made about every financial mistake you can make. So I know what to do and not to do. And more importantly, on some real talk, I don't want to see anybody work as hard as I saw my grandparents work, or my great uncles work, or my older cousins work, and then like not have no money when they got old. I don't want to see that stuff anymore. And when I went to grad school and learned how money actually works, I wish to God I could go back 40 years from now, which I can't. I wouldn't even be born by then. I wish to God though I could go back there and tell my family members what not to do and what to do. So yeah, let's book a one-on session with me, man. I'm gonna find out exactly what your pain points are, where you're spending a lot of your money, what your budget is, and stuff like that. We'll go through all that stuff. And then from there, we'll figure out how to what to invest your money into, and more important is how to help you build generational wealth. So in undergrad, I got my mechanical engineering degree, DB Cooper, and in grad school, I got my MBAs. I got my MBA. I got it in management and in finance. So um, originally, I wanted to work in Philadelphia's Wall Street, so that was kind of just my whole mindset with it. But yeah, I have an MBA from Drexel University, and yeah, that's just kind of the route that I went. I got the engineering degree because I always liked how things built and how the world kind of operates by engineers. And I got the engineering degree to basically make the money. I got the MBA to basically teach me how to invest it. So that's kind of my journey with that. And it's been a very nice, very nice ride. I can say that. Yeah, shoot me the email. And let's wrap. Okay, let's wrap offline because I want to kind of, like I said, just figure out just kind of what you're thinking about, what your budget is, what your student loan debt to income ratio is, how much money you make doing what you're doing for your career, and more importantly, what percentage of your income every month you can invest. And I'm gonna tell you exactly what you probably should look into investing into. Just kind of show you, walk you through how to read a stock, how to read an index fund, how to read a mutual fund, how to read an expense ratio, a dividend ratio, all that kind of stuff. Okay. I can walk you through all of it. And everybody, please support your content creators. Please support your YouTubers. Hit that dollar sign down there. Support us. $1, $5, $10, $20, $100, whatever you want to support us with. Okay. But yeah, please support your content creators. Keep asking the questions, everybody. Keep asking the questions before I bounce. So yep. Regardless of who's sitting in that White House, everybody focus on your house, okay? Because you can basically change a lot of the things in your world if you put all your mental energy and your physical energy into the right steps, okay? And that's whether you have a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a person who's purple, pink, or green sitting in the White House, okay? So yep, or orange. So yep. Keep asking the questions, everybody. Keep asking the questions. As I said earlier, financial patient. I have a Facebook page. Please join my tribe. I have a Spotify channel. Please join that. I have a weekly blog that I put out where I talk about a lot of things that we talked about in this particular podcast. I drop weekly content every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I drop my weekly content. It's always about things money. Every now and then I talk about dating, relationships, and marriage or family and stuff like that. But in general, my channel, everybody, is about making money. It's about saving money. It's about investing money. It's about building generational wealth. Okay. So for our bounce, ask questions, and congratulations, Paul, on getting that job, man. Definitely come back. Let me know whether it's the job, that the career path that you want, and I hope it's working out for you. Okay, and I'm happy for you. Congrats, congrats. And everybody support your YouTubers. Okay, support your YouTubers. All right, fire away for a bounce, everybody. It's getting late. Cool. All right, everybody. Once again, please check out my scholarship book. Scholarships: The Golden Road to Free Money. It can be purchased on Amazon. I go into detail about how I got over $300,000 to get my MBA and to get my engineering degree for free from undergrad, and also talk about essentially different ways and different methods that I use to go to undergrad for free. If I did it, you can do it as well. It's your boy Chris. Once again, this channel, Financial is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about investing money. It's all about building generational wealth, and it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. Please check me on Spotify. Check me on TikTok. Check me out on Blue Sky. Check out my Facebook page. Please join that. Send me an email, the real underscore financipation at gmail.com. And at the end of the day, everybody, like I said, make sure that you put your financial tree in your own life. Make sure that you put your financial future in your own life. At the end of the day, nobody's gonna take care of you and gonna take care of the old you like the young you. So make sure you're doing everything you can. Thanks, Chris. You've got that dog in you. I appreciate it. Everybody told me the same thing when I played ball as well, and when I fought in kickboxing, box as well. So yeah, man, it's kind of funny how the personality that you have as an athlete can positively drift into corporate America, into your life as an entrepreneur as well. So absolutely, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. All right, everybody, going once, going twice. Got any questions? Holla at your boy. Cool. All right, everybody, it's your boy Chris. I'm out. Peace, peace. God bless. Peace, peace. Hey, you're welcome, Paul. You're welcome. Keep me posted, man. And everybody, please support your content creators. Please support us. Hit that dollar sign. And you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everybody. I'm out. Peace. Peace. All right, I'm out. Peace. And